Breaking the insomnia cycle. We've all experienced restless and sleepless nights, nights that seem to last forever, tossing and turning, discomfort, the pill can't get the pillow quite in the right spot. Um, and uh, and that could be due to many different causes. It could be due to a backache. It could be due to some other condition we have, to simple stress or complex stress, right? Stress is by nature is complex, not simple, right? Or hot summer nights. I remember as a child, before air conditioning became popular, that every summer there were those hot, humid, sleepless summer nights where we would open the window and turn on the fan and hear the sounds of the crickets outside. And I have to say, I remember those times fondly, even though I probably was tired the next day as a child, not having the same cares as an adult. Perhaps I could afford to be tired for the day. But whatever the cause, insomnia is a problem. It's a problem on many levels. It is a problem because it affects our even subjective sense of well-being and emotional stability. It makes us irritable. It makes us shaky. It also affects our performance, our memory, our reaction time. It makes us prone to accidents. It's unsafe to get a poor night's sleep. A large percentage, it would be great to look up that number again, but a large percentage of car accidents are caused by one of the involved parties having a poor night's sleep. Shift workers have a much higher likelihood of getting into a car accident than regular folks. And so it's unsafe to get a poor night's sleep. And it's unsafe in other ways as well. It causes heart attacks and damage to the cardiovascular system. Now, I'm not saying all that to make you afraid, other than just it's an important topic, and we need to know some tips on how to sleep well, and also we need to know if we can't get to sleep, we need to know how to do it in style, right? We want to know how to, if we're going to be awake, to be awake and make the best of it, right? Um, so that's some of our goals for today is helping you get to sleep. We're going to unearth some of the causes of a poor night's sleep and also the Ayurvedic perspective of those causes. How would Ayurveda interpret those things? And then we'll also, along the way and throughout, discuss particular remedies for a good night's sleep. All right. First thing I'm just going to say right at the bat is that most sleep aids don't work immediately. It's not like, oh, I'm having a bad night's sleep, so take an herb for sleep, and then you expect that herb to put you to sleep. There are some good sedatives out there that can help you get to sleep if you're not sleeping tonight. But most of the remedies have to be used for about a week or two before you start noticing improvements in sleep. So we're just, all this to remember. To give your insomnia a good smile. One of the first things I tell all of my clients to do with their intractable, difficult, annoying, frustrating diseases is to just have a bit of humor with them. Treat them like an errant child, you might say, or a disobedient child, and laugh at them a little bit. Don't take it too seriously, even though I know it is serious, but a lighthearted approach to your health while engaging with improving your health is I think a really great way to go, and that's especially true for insomnia, and I'll say why as we go through tonight's talk. My name is John Immel. I'm the director of the Joyful Belly School of Ayurveda, and tonight's talk is you might think of it as a sample of what our students get in our certification courses in Ayurveda. Since 2008, we have provided premium clinical Ayurvedic education specializing in food digestion and nutrition. Our courses are entirely online. No travel is required. We built the school to make Ayurveda accessible to a broad audience and also to take advantage of multimedia tools that online education provides that enhance learning outcomes over traditional classroom settings. And so so check out our courses. We have 3 main certification courses. One, an Ayurveda Health Counselor 2-year program, a Mastering Ayurvedic Digestion and Nutrition certification program, and also an Ayurvedic Herbalist certification program. Those last 2 courses are specialization programs, maybe even a little bit more advanced. Some people start out with them, but our Ayurveda Health Counselor course is the typical place to start. And then the Ayurveda Herbalist course is really one of a kind in its depth and level of instruction, and also just the extraordinary clinical abilities that will give you by the time you graduate, just with the level of knowledge there. So, and the digestion and nutrition course, also quite a unique offering in that it gives you a specialization in digestion, which is very hard to find in health and wellness. It's hard to find specializations, and that's a great thing that that opportunity exists. All right, let's get back to sleep. Next week, I'm going to give a presentation, by the way, on how to choose a great Ayurveda school, what to look for, and how to evaluate a school. So join us on that next week. I will announce the date of that in our newsletter. All right, healthy sleep. What is it? We got to start from the beginning, right? A definition of healthy sleep includes 8 hours of sleep from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. That's your ideal time. Can vary by person, can vary by age. Children may need up to 10 hours of sleep. Babies, even more than that. Teenagers often sleep much more. As you age, you need less sleep. So an elderly person will sleep much less than a teenager. On average, a person will go to 4 to 6 sleep cycles per night. So your body goes through these sleep cycles. It's fascinating to learn about what happens during those sleep cycles. One of those sleep cycles is called REM sleep, which stands for rapid eye movement. And during rapid eye movement is a dream stage where you are abstracting information from your experiences during the day. And that's fascinating to me to see that abstraction. If you remember any of your dreams, when you have the dream and what time of night, the dream will get more and more amorphous as the night goes on. And it's just very interesting to study that abstraction process. It seems to be part of how our intellect works, is that it takes information and in a very associative way connects it to things we already know through this process of abstraction. Yeah. All right. Vata individuals need the most sleep. So for those of you who are new to Ayurveda, Ayurveda has 3 body types: Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. And those body types are characterized by the following. Vata tends to be deficient but energetic. In fact, they're deficient because they're energetic. And they tend to be a little bit on the dry side. Pitta people, they tend to be metabolic, hot-natured, have strong intellects, and they make good teachers. So if you think I'm a good teacher, you might say, oh, he's Pitta, right? And Kapha people tend towards congestive type conditions. They have thickened fluids. They tend towards excess. So where Kapha is excess, Vata is deficient, and Pitta is heat. So you can loosely look at the body types that way. Vata, the deficient body type, tends to need the most sleep. They should go to bed a little earlier, maybe by 9:30 p.m., and stay in bed the longest, around 8 a.m. Of course, that's exactly what usually happens in Vata people. Vata people tend to get the least sleep, but they need the most. Pitta should avoid burning the midnight oil, but with their late night intellectual projects. So I'm guilty of this. I'll admit it. Right from the start is that I will, at any time of night, wake up and like get caught up trying to solve some math problem because it's just enjoyable to me or whatever, and it will prevent me from sleeping. And so I use some of those tips that Pitta people need in order to get back to sleep, thinking about ways of improving efficiency in clinic for our students, and how to different models, Ayurvedic models for disorders. All those things are late night intellectual projects that a Pitta person like me can get caught up in. Kapha people should reduce sleep time. Generally, they sleep the longest and the heaviest. They should go to bed by 10 p.m., but they should wake up by 6. And that way they get that 8 hours, maybe even a little less than 8 hours. But they usually sleep more than the most, and Pitta somewhat medium, and Vata the least. Vata people tend to have the most trouble falling asleep. Pitta have the most trouble staying asleep, and Kapha have the most trouble getting up. All right, let's do a little bit of neurochemistry here. And that way we have some, biochemistry background underneath us when we start to move into the Ayurvedic space for this. So melatonin, you may have heard of it. It is a hormone that makes you less alert. And melatonin is the hormone that basically regulates our circadian rhythms, our natural biorhythms, including sleep. It's produced by the pineal gland, and it is heavily influenced by blue light exposure. So that's going to be one of the things that's very important if you have insomnia, is not getting exposure, is avoiding exposure to blue light before bed and throughout the night. What does this mean? It means replace the bulb in your bathroom with a blue light blocking bulb, so that when you turn the light on at night to pee, that you don't depress melatonin levels through blue light exposure. Okay. And you maybe your bedroom light as well. So I have a little one of those little touch lamps at the side on my bedstand. If I touch it, the light goes on, and I have a blue light blocking bulb there, and also in the bathroom. And that way I'm covered. I don't get blue light exposure during the night. Now, I live close to Asheville downtown, and so there's street lights around my house. And I want to make sure that the blue light from those street lights doesn't depress my melatonin. So I have light blocking blinds in the windows, and that way I won't depress melatonin levels. So around 9 p.m., the pineal gland starts producing melatonin, and you might notice tiredness. And that's your body preparing you for sleep. It's good to take advantage of that and just get to bed when you feel that coming on. If you ignore your rise in melatonin, you might get a second wind around 10 p.m. and that's going to prevent a detox and cleanse cycle for your body. The energy you feel after 10 p.m. Is there to is your body revving up metabolism to detoxify and repair tissues. It's called a liver wind in Chinese medicine, and we want to use that liver wind for the liver and the organs. Not for our late night intellectual projects or watching TV or other things. So, what we want to do is get to bed before the second wind, before we get overtired, right? Which is where we're in such a state of exhaustion that we can't even go to sleep. That's our goal. Okay. So melatonin stays high until around 4 a.m. and then it starts to drop. And that helps your body wake up. So by sunrise, your melatonin is low and your body wakes up, and then it remains low throughout the day. There are a bunch of different foods that increase melatonin. Cherries are one of them. So if you have trouble going to sleep, eat foods high in melatonin. You can look up some of those on the Joyful Belly website. Let's see here. Melatonin foods. You see on the Joyful Belly website, on our Insomnia page here, you can find this page in the search box at the top of the website, but you can see some of the herbal actions that are beneficial for insomnia, and there's melatonin, and you can look, and there's some foods that are, not a big list here. I'll increase that list. We have blue light blocking and cherry. Yeah, I will increase the list of melatonin foods on the website for those who need to get that information. You can look that up though, and you can increase consumption of melatonin, of foods that are high in melatonin. You can also buy melatonin as a supplement, by the way, at a vitamin shop or some other local health food store. Cortisol is the stress hormone, and cortisol rhythms play a significant role in your sleep-wake cycles as well. Cortisol is supposed to peak a half an hour after waking, and it's supposed to go down at night. But some people have disrupted cortisol rhythms, and their cortisol doesn't go down at night, or it may be easily stimulated, or your body just may be very sensitive to cortisol. So that can disrupt your sleep-wake cycles. And also, cortisol can interrupt production of melatonin as well. And finally, we have GABA. GABA is a neurotransmitter that inhibits the nervous system. So we're looking at 3 different biochemicals here. There are more that are involved in sleep, but we don't need to necessarily make this talk about biochemistry, but it's good to know. Melatonin, cortisol, GABA. GABA inhibits the nervous system. Melatonin reduces alertness, and cortisol increases alertness and stress. All right. Causes of insomnia. Put mental health issues at the top of the list here. And perhaps, it's really a toss-up. It's not, I can't say that imbalanced blood chemistry occurs less often than mental health issues. But in mental health issues, I'm including things like a poor response to stress. Now, you always hear about stress reduction. Hey, you need to reduce stress in your life. And yes, reducing stress is important where you can, but studies show that it's not so much stress that causes health problems and insomnia, but your body, your way of handling stress, your stress coping mechanisms. Some people are energized by stress, and some people seem to be withered by stress. And if you look at stress with a little bit of excitement and a sense of adventure, then a sense of challenge that you get to do, like you get to solve the challenging problems in your life, right? Or you get to at least show the world how to suffer well, right? With whatever stress you have and the problems you can't fix, right? We all have problems we can't fix, and on some level, we have to learn how to accept that in a graceful way. And so poor mental health has its origin has a real spiritual origin. Stress, anxiety, and frustration. Of course, there are triggers in our society. There are also blood chemistry imbalances that predispose us to feeling those things. But just on a fundamental level, stress, anxiety, and frustration involve a belief about what is happening to us. And that is why it's best classified as spiritual in nature. And on some level, stress, anxiety, and frustration occur when there's a lack of faith and hope in outcomes. So, to reduce anxiety and exhaustion generally in your life, we need to have a true source of faith and hope. We need to understand when our hopelessness and when our faithlessness is unreasonable and irrational, and find a sense of security. Now, I'm not going to try to or attempt to give instruction on that level in the context of a talk on sleep, but just know that that is important. That if you don't have a spiritual practice and you have insomnia due to stress, anxiety, and frustration, it's important that you begin on that journey. Go on your spiritual journey and discover where what to put your faith in, and what the source of true hope is in your life, so that you can have a sense of security and stability greater than today. We will, on a fundamental level, though, in this talk, be focusing on physical treatments of the body in order to overcome sleep disturbances. And on that level, adaptogens are a class of herbs that help us deal with stress. They modulate stress, meaning that they, if you're very sluggish, they can raise your level of awareness. So they help you if you're exhausted after a poor night's sleep. And also, if you're stressed out and can't get to sleep, adaptogens will downregulate your stress and so that you can sleep. And one of my favorite adaptogens for sleep is ashwagandha. Ashwagandha, probably an herb that most of you have heard of, or many of you have heard of, is a herb that helps with sleep, but also regulates stress and strengthens the body generally. So if you're a Vata person who tends towards deficiency, or you need protection for your nervous system, especially the elderly need nerve protectants, ashwagandha is going to be a great choice for you. And nervines are generally, the nervine means a kind of nerve tonic, and sedatives are herbs that calm the nervous system. So they calm it directly. So adaptogens, which are strengthening, tonifying, and sort of help you adapt to stress. Nervines, which are nerve tonics, and sedatives, which calm the nervous system, are what you want if you have insomnia due to stress and anxiety. Now, I'm going to put grief and shock as a different category here. If you get bad news, someone close to you, a loved one dies, or some terrible thing happens, and you're in a bit of a state of a shock, you're going to get acute insomnia, and hopefully that won't turn to chronic insomnia. And what I'll say about grief is that it needs to run its course. Don't deny yourself the grieving period, and don't let yourself be traumatized by trauma. Right? Trauma is something that overwhelms your nervous system, and there are many techniques to help you overcome that overwhelm. Often it involves facing it on some level, just feeling the feelings, and sort of relaxing into them. If you have trouble doing that on your own, that you can engage the help of a therapist. An EMDR therapist can help you with that as well. It's EMDR. And for grief and shock, I like tincture of milky oats. Just a gentle, calming, nourishing, stamina building, and it's and I've used that. I've actually used that for grief and shock personally, and found it very helpful. Frustration, ruminating, solving problems, valerian and passion flower. So you might notice that this is, highly Vata in nature, and frustration, ruminating is Pitta, and grief and shock, I'm not going to try to put a dosha with that. It causes a Vata issue, but just all three doshas can experience grief and shock. They tend to respond to it differently. Kapha by withdrawing, Pitta by attacking and analyzing, Vata. Yeah, I think I need to think about that. How would Vata respond to grief? I just think Vata is somewhat fragile. And so they might try to, have fun, or just sort of escape from it in some way. I got to think about that. All right. Okay, good. So let's keep getting into it here. Now, irregular or inappropriate routine, very important for sleep. Now, you'll notice both of these involve human choice, human belief, human behavior. So again, even routine has somewhat of a spiritual nature to it, that because it involves our choices, and choices are always based on some level on beliefs. And so one thing which I'll say that Ayurveda affirms is that routine is essential for a happy, stable life. We can't control when we fall asleep, but we can control when we go to bed. even if you're a shift worker or have a unstable schedule due to your work life, you can try to find order within the disorder, regular irregularity, and do what you can to make sense of your routine and establish biorhythms. Again, we can talk more about that, and that we have an article on Joyful Belly specifically devoted to irregular sleep schedules and shift work, which I recommend you check that out if you have that. But there are several things that can disrupt a routine. One is just choosing an inappropriate routine, choosing to stay up late watching TV, or to go out late. But there are some that are beyond our control, like waking up to nurse a baby. We are expecting our 7th child. My wife is expecting her 7th. We have 5 kids that are 6 and under. Excuse me, 4 kids that are 6 and under. So my wife Natalie has become conditioned to wake up to nurse the baby. She's been nursing for the past 7 years, and we've done put the baby in a different room, put the baby aside in the bed, in a sleeper, and just having the baby in the bed with us. And the best way to maintain sleep is co-sleeping. Now, the American Medical Association recommends against co-sleeping because of the risk of smothering the baby. But if you look into cases of smothering, they most often occur when the mother is under the influence of alcohol or tobacco, or other health conditions. And so we felt that a good night's sleep for baby and a good night's sleep for mom was less risky than co-sleeping. But that's a personal choice. I'm not going to tell individuals how to handle that themselves. But other kinds of biorhythm and circadian rhythm instability can come from traveling, jet lag. And what you want there is melatonin. So melatonin helps overcome jet lag and helps restore your circadian rhythms. Okay, now we're getting down into physical imbalances. Blood chemistry. Blood chemistry is really, I would say, one of the most important physical factors to insomnia. Just think about it. Your nervous system is constantly bathed by the blood. And if the blood is imbalanced in some way, your nervous system is being somewhat irritable and sensitive, right? The nervous system is sensitive. It is going to be easily influenced by aberrations, changes, and disruptions in blood chemistry. So right away, if I'm meeting a client that has insomnia, this is really the first, sort of physical thing I'm looking for. I looked at beliefs and responses to stress. I've already looked at routine and choices regarding routine. Now I'm getting into the condition of their body. What is going on in the blood? Is there something making the client pee several times a night, that they're waking up several times a night and having trouble getting back to sleep? Does the client have depleted electrolytes? This is what happens this time of year. You're outside sweating, doing the gardening, or it's hot summer nights, and if you're sweating more often and not replenishing both fluids and electrolytes, you can get what I would call summer insomnia, which is electrolyte imbalance that results in insomnia. So this is very common in summer. Make sure you stay hydrated this time of year. In fact, my wife brought one to me earlier today while I was working on tonight's presentation. She brought me a limeade actually, with a little pinch of salt and a little sugar in it. And that really helped me keep my stamina up for the day. And I did not feel tired, exhausted, or wired, right? Because tired and wired, that's a thing, right? And that's what happens when your electrolytes are imbalanced or your blood's imbalanced generally. Hunger can keep you awake too. But also I want to make a special note about being overtired or exhausted. It's almost like you have to get enough sleep to get to sleep, right? Poor sleep frazzles your nervous system and makes it harder to sleep the next night. Now, exhaustion can sometimes, in the end, force you to sleep, but there's a real sense where deficiency increases insomnia. Remember that insomnia is a Vata thing, means that insomnia occurs most often in deficient body types. It's those kapha body types that have plenty of fat stores that that fat is soothing to the nervous system. People who are deficient in fat and who are exhausted and overtired generally have a harder time falling asleep. So this is, and this happens to me. This is a pattern that happens to me if I'm not careful. So I'm very familiar with this, and it's like if I have not slept well for a few nights, it could turn into chronic insomnia for me. And it occasionally happens where it happens to all of us, where life gets away from us, and we need to pull a few late nights to catch up on something, or we have people in town and we're entertaining, or we're traveling for the holidays, or we're wrapping the you're it's like Christmas Eve night, and you're Santa Claus for all the kiddos, and you get a late night sleep, right? So what you don't want is to get caught in a cycle where your exhaustion prevents you from sleeping. And so I'm going to talk about how to care for your body after a bad night's sleep, so that you don't get caught in this pattern of deficiency insomnia. Okay. Then toxins can disturb your blood chemistry as well. If you aren't getting bowel movements, or you have lots of fermentation in the gut, or you have an infection somewhere, or just in general, lymphatic congestion is and lymphatic backup is making your body toxic and inflamed, you'll have trouble falling asleep because those toxins will irritate the nervous system. So a laxative can help purge the bowels. A detoxicant. Detoxicants means a class of herbs that thin the blood so that your lymphatic system can flush itself out and you can get rid of the toxins. Deepana pachana means your digestives that help depress fermentation through better digestion, and diuretics can purge toxins out through the kidneys. Diuretics are herbs that make you pee. So you can look up these words on Joyful Belly and get a list of these laxatives, detoxicants, diuretics, and digestives. I can call these Deepana pachana digestives instead of using the Ayurvedic terms for those. All right, so we want to decrease ama. And then caffeine. Even a morning cup of coffee for some people can disturb their sleep that night. For others, they should avoid coffee after 3 p.m. All right, I've covered the different kinds of common imbalanced blood chemistry that can cause sleep-related issues. And this is not exhaustive. Anything hyper or hypoglycemia. I mean, we could just go on and on, but these are the common ones that I see, which is people waking up to go to the bathroom and can't go back to sleep, having electrolyte issues, hunger, being overtired or exhausted, and their nervous system's frazzled, having toxins or too much caffeine. Already talked about exposure to blue light and how exposure to blue light can depress melatonin levels. And I gave in some tips for that already. There are other environmental factors that can disturb your sleep, like exposure to noise. And of course, you should avoid noise where you can. Maybe you'll even use earplugs. But I'm going to go back to what my grandpa used to tell us. Whenever my grandpa would visit, he would always bang on the walls. And my parents, after we went to bed, and he was always like, you got to teach the kids to sleep through noise, and we did learn to sleep through noise. And I'm not saying that's easy or even that was a wise thing for my grandfather to do. All I'm saying is that don't hate the noise. Avoid noise where you can, sure. But otherwise, welcome noise with a bit of humor and generosity, and create loving, tender thoughts for whatever wakes you up, right? And that's important, especially when it comes to sleep, because ultimately sleep is a liver it happens most often in Vata people, but what um, insomnia it has a strong relationship with the liver and the liver's ability to manage blood chemistry. So if you have insomnia, there's likely to be an issue with the liver. And anger, frustration, getting mad, all of that aggravates the liver too. So if you let yourself get angry by noise or by the person that woke you up, you're just stressing out your liver even more and causing more insomnia. So we just got to break the cycle, break the habit, laugh at the challenges of life, and approach it with a little bit of humor. I'm not saying this to you, but also to myself, right? I practice this, which is when something wakes me up, the kids knock on the door at 3 a.m. I might you know, I might get a little grumpy with them, but then right after that, I'm like, okay, laugh at them a little bit. Cute little Henry waking me up in the middle of the night. One of my 2-year-old, and just return to those loving, tender thoughts for whatever wakes you up. Now, pets and children in bed. I don't know how people do that. I mean, we have our babies in the bed. Babies seem to not wake us up as much, but after the kids get to be a certain age, they just wiggle all night long and keep you awake. And yeah, so some people can do that. I've never figured out how to do that. I'm just gonna say that, if we naturally want to have that close relationship with pets, children in bed with us, that that we have, that kind of togetherness is a sweet thing, a lovely thing. But if it's turning your life into a wreck because you have insomnia, it's not worth it. You have a better relationship with your kid if you kick them out of the bed and are actually able to function that day and not be irritable with them. But again, leave that to the discretion of the individual. You know what you can handle, um, and some of that, and some kids are different. I get maybe it's only my kids that squiggle all night long. I don't know. Okay. All right. Here's another big cause of sleeplessness: pain, sensations, tension, or any kind of discomfort. And these are easy to overlook. Now, obviously, people experience their pillow not being comfortable enough, or their back not being in a comfortable spot, or their mattress not being comfortable enough, right? But much less obvious is minor sensations, tension, and pain that have a real effect on our nervous system, but which you may not notice. And so you can do some self-assessment on that. Do a body scan. One of the first things that I do whenever I can't sleep is a full-on body scan. I want to put a little note here to even add that to these notes. A full body scan. A full body scan, just checking for any tension, physical sensations, pulsations, pressure sensations anywhere in your body. Start from the toes, or start from your head, work your way down, either way. And even just in the brain. So you're looking for it in the body, but once you've found them all in the body, usually whenever you have them in the body, you also have them in your head. I'll notice areas of pressure inside my head. Just get good at that body scanning and seeing what sensations you feel. And generally, when I find a sensation in my body, what do? I relax into it. I go into it. I don't like wallow into it in this negative sort of sense of like, this sort of despairing, go into your feelings, angsty kind of thing. No, I just try to feel it as much as possible and then soften it. Just kind of like relax into the feeling. Again, accept it, treat it with a little bit of humor, but also gratitude. What am I going to learn from you? Curiosity, just cultivate a bit of a lighthearted thing with it and be like, okay, it's okay that you're there. We're still going to get to sleep tonight, even though you're there. And if we don't, fine, right? Just these kinds of that kind of approach can ease things a bit. Coldness. Now I'm hot until around 3 a.m. and then my body temperature drops and I'm cold the rest of the night. So I have a sweater next to me next to the bed, and I put it on when I start to feel cold, and that gets me right back to sleep. So keep the clothing choices nearby in case of temperature fluctuations. Hot or heat or humidity, you get a dehumidifier, get an AC, that can help. All right. Musculoskeletal tension. If you find tension, well, first of all, if you find tension in your eyes, what I like to do is I just keep my eyes closed and I make little gentle, relaxing circles with my eyes to relax my eye muscles. Sometimes it's the muscles around the eye that are holding tension. And by these minor contractions and releases, you can relax the eye muscles. And if I have any muscles that I notice are tense, I do some stretching and relaxation. And generally, that involves contraction as well as release. I don't just release, it's contraction, release, as well as stretch, massage. When you're massaging a muscle, you always massage the insertion point and the head of the muscle. In other words, where it attaches to the bone, because that's often where the tension comes from. Don't just massage the body of the muscle, massage the head and the insertion point. All right. And of course, you can always give your mattress and pillow an upgrade. We spend a third of our life in our bed, so it's worth it to spend money on a decent mattress. My wife, after doing lots of research, found this great mattress on Amazon that came like rolled up in a ball. We love it. It was $400, $300. It wasn't like $2,000 or anything like that. Not the cheapest mattress, but pretty cheap, and didn't have any of those weird fire chemicals in it and all that. So I can maybe find a link for that, but you may be able to just check it out online on Amazon and find it yourself. If you need a link, if you need me to find that, you can always just email me, by the way, john@joyfulbelly.com. Just put it in there. And especially there was a person who asked for the recording earlier. Just email me if you want the recording, john@joyfulbelly, and I'll try to get that out to you. Not promising it, but I'll try to get that out to you. All right, comorbid insomnia. Now, the other cause of insomnia is just other diseases. If you have the flu and you can't breathe at night, that's going to be probably a rough night's sleep. If you're, your nose is stuffed and you're coughing up phlegm and it's like, ugh, right? We've all had that happen to us. A night sick is a night without sleep. Digestive disturbances. Since I did a lot of international travel and digestive issues was one of the reasons I got into Ayurveda in the first place. This is a familiar one for me, and I've had to deal with that pancreatic insufficiency that causes some digestive disturbances. So I'm always making sure that I am doing exercise after my meals. So I'll wait until the initial phase of digestion is over, half an hour or so, and then I'll do some exercise, get my heart rate up, which energizes my whole digestive tract and helps me, digest anything. And chamomile is a great relaxing herb that is also a great digestive. I don't use it because it's not that great for Vata. But if you're not, if you don't have a lot of Vata in you, chamomile is a really great calming herb for any kind of digestive disturbance as well. Yeah, I don't remember the name of it, Diane, I'd have to look it up. Sleep apnea. Now, my wife was telling me that I was getting sleep apnea last year, but after reinvigorating my exercise program, it went away. Also, sleeping on your side helps sleep apnea go away. But sleep apnea can really destroy your health because it prevents you from going through your sleep cycles, and it can wreak havoc on your health. So if you have sleep apnea, get exercise, sleep on your side. One remedy for that is to sew a pocket on the back of your pajamas and put a tennis ball in it so that anytime you lie on your back, you feel uncomfortable, and that way you condition yourself to sleep on the side. If you have a racing heart or heart palpitations or chest pain, Of course, you may need to get that checked by a doctor, but also exercise can help. And rhodiola is an adaptogenic herb that can help with heart palpitations. If you have hyperthyroid, motherwort is a calming herb that can be used to bring the thyroid back down to normal levels. And if the issue is perimenopause or any kind of female hormonal issues, menstrual hormone issues, black cohosh can help regulate menstrual hormones, and it's also a very calming tincture. Once I was in with a group of folks and with an herb teacher, and we all took one dropper full of black cohosh. And I had taken black cohosh many times before. It's just a nice calming herb. And but it was amazing to see the effect on the group and how a little effect in each person caused a macro effect in the group. And that was fascinating. And of course, we see that playing out, that effect playing out in politics all the time. That if the country gets nudged in a certain direction, even if many people agree or disagree, it's like it becomes magnified in the group. And that's just very interesting to see how small effects on each individual cause a huge macro effect on the entire group. Very fascinating. It's very fascinating to see that experiment play out with black cohosh. Okay, good. So we've covered some basic causes of insomnia, which included mental health issues, responses to stress, irregular or inappropriate routine, imbalances in blood chemistry, environmental discomforts, pain, sensations, tension, pressure, or other kinds of discomforts in our body, and insomnia due to other diseases and conditions. All right, so that kind of spans the gamut on different causes of the main different causes of insomnia. How do we summarize that from an Ayurveda perspective? Well, first of all, we're going to note that Ayurveda is fundamentally Vata in the nervous system, means that the nervous system is overstimulated in some way. Now, why would our nervous system get overstimulated? Well, some of the reasons we already gave: inappropriate or regular routine, Vata in the mind. That's spiritual, right? Means mental disorders always about, but in the sense here, I'm not talking about psychiatric, but psychological disorders come from our beliefs. So Vata in the mind, irritants or toxins in the blood plasma. We talked about that. Dryness in blood plasma is our group category for all kinds of dehydration, electrolyte imbalance, and then we have deficiency of fat tissue and upward moving Vata or Udana or rebellious chi. I'm not saying anything new here. I'm just giving you the sort of Ayurveda categories of the above. Is that if you have a disease that disturbs Vata, that creates what you might call Udana or rebellious chi, which means that your system gets shaky, excited, or overstimulated as a result of some problem. And so if you have a spasm, like if you have a twitch in your eye, that could prevent you from going to sleep, right? Lack of sleep itself causes rebellious chi or an Udana and makes it difficult to get to sleep the next night. Okay. What are some key things that we want to take away, though, from this? Is that we need right behavior. We need to balance our blood chemistry and nourish our body. We need to handle underlying conditions, and we need to handle the liver. We need to get our liver balanced. Poor sleep disturbs the liver, causes shakiness and instability in the nervous system. And so what do we want to do? We want to smooth the liver. And that means aromatics, nervines, and antispasmodics. Again, you can look up antispasmodics on the website. So we'll take a quick look at, we'll jump to antispasmodics for a second here. A lot of them are aromatics. Antispasmodic. Let's see, there we go. So if you look at any of these different herbal actions on the website, you could see that we sorted all of the herbs by dosha on the website and by their characteristics. So you can look up, ashwagandha pacifies Vata and Kapha. Black cohosh pacifies Vata and Pitta. So I'm going to be taking black cohosh. Some of you might be taking ashwagandha. I don't take ashwagandha. It's too hot for me. Himalayan cedar, also known as deodar, and dong quai, an awesome antispasmodic, are very hot. So this I would use for a sluggish kapha person with insomnia. Eleuthero ginseng is an adaptogen that's hot, but it also is an antispasmodic. So eleuthero ginseng, also I'm going to be giving that to my kapha individuals. Hot bath can ease tension, and a hot foot soak can ease tension as well. Chamomile is fine for pitta. It's just I find it too drying for my Vata. It's too drying for me. Makes Vata pee too much. All right. So these are antispasmodics. These are things that reduce muscle tension. And you could see looking at these categories, these are also muscle relaxants. Kava, really important sleep herb, an anti-inflammatory sedative and pain reliever that relaxes muscles and reduces spasm. A very strong muscle relaxant and sedative, taken as a recreational drink in the Fiji Islands. It numbs you a little bit as well. Anyway, that could be your sleep herb. Now, which herb is going to be the best for you for sleep? We'll continue to go through herbs as we go through the talk. But I'm going to just say that you can look on this website and pick an herb. If you're deficient, you want the Vata pacifying herbs. If you tend to be overweight or get congestive conditions, you're going to look for the Kapha pacifying herbs. If you have a lot of heat in your system, you're going to look for the Pitta pacifying herbs. And you're not going to do the ones that aggravate Pitta, right? All right, so antispasmodics. And we could look up sedatives. These are ones that are used to directly calm the nervous system. And you can do the same there. Look up your foods that are sedative in nature. There you see chamomile. I put that as a food because people drink it as a tea, but really it's an herb. And lemon balm, self-massage, Shankapushpi, important calming herb in the Ayurveda apothecary. Passion flower, valerian, wild lettuce, all important soporific sleep-inducing herbs. Okay, we'll get back to the presentation and we'll continue to look at herbs as we go. So poor sleep disturbs the liver. It's a disturbance in the nervous system. It generally is associated with deficiency or other problems or not living the right lifestyle. Okay, am I making it simple enough there? See if we can look at that visually. Liver, nervous system, liver, blood chemistry, our choices, and underlying conditions. Which of those is true for you? Maybe they're all true for you. Maybe you need a solution that is going to address all of these. Typically, that's the case. Right? Why only address two things when you can address three? Why only address three when you can address four? Let's address everything. Okay. Let's go through some activities to ensure that you set yourself up for success here. Avoid activities an hour before sleep, especially those that engage the eyes, like reading or watching TV or looking at a computer screen. Avoid blue light sources an hour before bed. Here's another thing. Don't work, read, or do anything but rest in your bedroom. A lot of times people like to look at their phone before they go to sleep or read a book before they fall asleep or do some work in their bedroom. Don't do any of that. Instead, what will happen is that because your brain is an associative organ, your brain will associate activity with your bedroom, and you'll have more trouble falling asleep. So keep the bedroom a place of rest only, and that will be helpful. Getting to bed before 10 p.m. is important. When you get that first rise in melatonin and feel sleepy, catch the sleep wave before it passes. Don't wait for the second wind that keeps you up until 2 a.m. Exercise during the day. Regular physical activity does help people fall asleep faster and enjoy deeper sleep. But don't do strenuous exercise within 2 hours of bedtime, because that can overstimulate your nervous system. Keep your bowels clear. And establish a strong eating routine as well. Don't eat different times every day and then expect your biorhythms to be very regular. Having a routine means this at its most basic level. Of course, you can get more complex and better routines, but at its most basic level, a routine means that you wake up, eat, and go to bed at the same times each day. Don't eat large meals right before bedtime, because it can cause indigestion. And limit naps. Now, okay, here's one that contradicts my dosha. I benefit greatly from naps. If I take a nap, I can be completely refreshed. In fact, I can nap for 3 seconds, and just getting my nervous system to that level of calm where I fall asleep, even if it's for 3 seconds, totally refreshing for me. So other people, if they get to a nap, if they take a nap, they can't, they're groggy the rest of the day. So maybe then a nap's not for you. All right. All right. What about if you're having a night of insomnia? What are you going to do? Well, don't get mad at your body. Don't become bitter at the world. I already mentioned why, because frustration aggravates the liver. And that is why getting mad just makes insomnia worse. In fact, I don't even try to go to sleep. When I'm sitting there in bed and I'm awake at night, I don't try to go to sleep. I think trying to fall asleep makes your nervous system hypersensitive. You're like, oh, that's uncomfortable. And I can't, it's just like, if you're trying to go to sleep, it's like you're setting yourself up for frustration. All right. So what do you do? Well, if you can't stop thinking, at least stop thinking about yourself. And I got to really hand it to Marilyn. She stole my punchline right at the in the beginning in the pre-conversation talk. She's like, I think I can't fall asleep because I think about myself, right? And that's right. What happens with not being able to get to sleep is that our ego just gets huge. We're sitting there by ourselves, no one else is around, and we just start thinking about ourselves and how we can't get to sleep and all the problems in our life and blah, 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 blah. It's very self-focused. So I think that is counterproductive. I like to use my insomnia to make the world a better place. And the best way to do that is to pray for other people. It just takes the focus off of you. Now, I mean that word in a loose way. I'm not talking about a specific tradition. I don't know what tradition you come from. Maybe what it means for you is just thinking about, how to, how to make life wonderful for your kids, or how to make life wonderful for your sister or your brother, or for your mom or for your dad. Think about someone you love and think about their happiness. Takes the burden off of you, right? And here's another thing too, is that if you are if you are doing spiritual activity, you need less sleep, right? And what do I mean by spiritual activity anyway? By spiritual activity, I mean celebrating, pointing to, remembering, honoring what is greatest and highest, right? Our spiritual life, in a sense, at its most essential level, is a celebration of gratitude towards your source, right? Of the greatest thing, the source of all reality, the greatest thing, the highest thing. And that being in touch with that is rejuvenating. And so so you just need less sleep. Monks and nuns and people who are who devote their entire life to the spiritual path, they need less sleep. You see all these stories of people in different monasteries and in whatever tradition it is that they get 4 hours of sleep and they're just totally fine, healthy, rejuvenated. Why? Why is that the case? Because they're not struggling against reality. They're not struggling against the way things are designed, but instead they have a deep acceptance for the design and the designer, and that brings a person to a healthier state of being. So if you can't get to sleep, if the sedatives and the antispasmodics and some of these other techniques don't work, use your insomnia for something good. Make the world a better place. Think about other people and your generosity towards them. Pray for them, and also celebrate what is highest, best, and greatest. One thing I'll say too is just the kind of prayer that you want is something that is going to be a little bit more repetitive and grounding and calming, not an etheric prayer that's focused on transcendence or emptying the mind or very otherworldly or something like that. Might even be good for you to have focused attention on something particular, not just an opening up, because opening is more Vata and that can aggravate insomnia, right? We're not trying to like get into our mind. We're kind of in a way trying to get a little bit out of our mind. So it's not about thinking about something. It's about self-giving but giving to something in particular. And I think that is the more grounded kind of spiritual practice you want for insomnia. All right. And I'll just also say that I will look for those bodily sensations, points of pressure and things like that, and just soften them. I mentioned that earlier. Whatever you do, when you have insomnia, stay in bed. Of course, you get yourself up to make yourself a little tea or something like that. But don't watch TV, use the computer, read a book, or do mentally stimulating or eye straining activities in general. Don't use your eyes for anything. Keep the lights off. Gentle stretching is fine, but the kind of stretches that you want are thigh and pelvic muscle stretches. Generally, you're stretching from belly button to knees as a general rule of thumb for calming your body down. Now that's dependent on dosha and other things, right? You might be holding tension in your shoulders from a hard day at work, in which case you're going to stretch your shoulders then, right? Don't take the general for the specific, right? Adapt to your personal body and your needs. If you have a neck issue, roll your neck, stretch your neck around. All right. Okay, here's another little tip. Is that if your back is arched while you're sleeping on your back, that's not as relaxing of a pose or of a body position. Instead, you can pull the flesh of your buttocks down, and that will allow your sacrum to touch the mattress instead of the tip of your tailbone, and it'll sort of flatten the back out just a little bit, which is a more relaxing posture. You also don't want to splay your legs out. You want to keep your legs up. So keep your knees rolled in, and that will also help with the flat back. And altogether, that's a more relaxing posture for your body. All right, poor sleep affects the liver. I've said it several times during today's talk, and that can cause irritability. The disturbance of the liver aggravates pitta, making you irritable, shaky, and your nervous system just really tense and frazzled. So what helps that? The first and easiest thing is sunbathing. So it's getting a little dark here. I can't even see myself in this. There we go. Sunbathing at least 10 minutes in the middle of the day can restore your liver. Even just like the babies, if your baby has jaundice, what do? You put him out in the sun for 10 minutes. Why? Because sunlight helps the liver. You can eat liver tonifying foods like coconut oil, applesauce, and blueberries. Applesauce and blueberries also gently cleanse the liver. They're not just liver tonics. Coconut oil is a liver tonic. So for Vata people, you can focus on the coconut oil. For Kapha people, the applesauce and blueberries, or maybe even just the blueberries. Blueberries are also high in beta carotene. Beta carotene foods will also strengthen the liver. So you want your liver tonics. You can look up levotonic on Joyful Belly to find some more levotonics. Did that work? Oh, no, that's not the way it's spelt. Levotonic. Not levonic, levotonic. Okay. Also, very soothes your nervous system is the aromatic herbs like peppermint, lemon balm, and chamomile. Now, I already said I don't take chamomile personally, but if I have a bad night's sleep, I have a nice cup of strong peppermint tea in the morning. And that eases my whole nervous system. It's like, right? Your muscles and your nerves all relax under the antispasmodic action of a strong aromatic like peppermint. So the maybe coconut oil with peppermint tea. Maybe you make a smoothie with coconut oil, blueberries, peppermint, and a banana. Restores electrolytes. Put a little pinch of salt in there. Magnesium, if you have electrolyte imbalance, magnesium is an important electrolyte. Magnesium relaxes the nerves and the muscle tissue. All right. Pitta pacifying foods such as cilantro juice and amalaki. Take cilantro juice. Take a big handful of cilantro, mix it with a half cup of water in the blender, or just juice it with a juicer, and then strain out the herb, and then pour another cup of coconut water on that and drink it. And that will pacify pitta in the liver, especially if you have irritability after a bad night's sleep. Take a nap in the afternoon. Now, I know I said not to take lengthy naps earlier for many people, but if you take a short nap during kidney time, which kidney time is 3 to 5 p.m., I think that will be refreshing. If you're the type of person that a nap ruins your sleep the next night, don't do that. But if you're like me, where it doesn't ruin your sleep the next night, do it. Oil your skin. Called Abhyanga, technique called Abhyanga in Ayurveda. Oil your skin. Your skin will, I don't see any oil here in this photo, but you can imagine the oil there. The skin will absorb the oils and that will soothe your nervous system. Remember, your nerves are surrounded by the myelin sheath, which is a fatty layer. And so when you oil the skin or eat that coconut oil, you are nourishing the myelin sheath. Finally, eat easy to digest foods. Your body can't handle a difficult meal of steak and fries after a bad night's sleep. Instead, have chicken soup with cooked carrots and some black pepper. Okay. Let's look at some specific remedies under different circumstances. For the elderly, melatonin is critical because the elderly tend to have weak circadian rhythms because of just general hormonal deficiency. So melatonin is very helpful for maintaining strong sleep-wake cycles. Herbs that improve circulation and protect the nervous system also help, like ginkgo and ginseng. I would put Brahmi gotukola in that category as well. Red sage. For children, tincture of milky oats, chamomile, and California poppy are frequently used. Applesauce, Dara is asking why specifically applesauce and not apples? Because apples are harder to digest. They're a little cooling and astringent and depress appetite. Applesauce is very easy to digest, and the sourness is a little bit more tempered. They're just a little less tart and stimulating, a little bit more sweet and soothing. So that's why. Joel's asking about, should sunbathing be in direct sun, or does exposure to blue areas of the sky provide sufficient UV? Joel, I would say just go along with you. Look at your skin type. I'm from a Mediterranean background, and so I need more direct sunlight. Someone else might get the same level of vitamin D who has very pale skin by a less direct approach. So I would say that just depends on your skin type. Ed's asking, so do you say your prayers in bed when struggling with insomnia? You bet. Yeah. Yeah, I just say my prayers. I like to yeah. I mean, I like to I memorize my favorite prayers, and so I just say them in bed. Yep. Great. Yes, nice. I see some other folks commenting too. Praying for others, affirmation, um, communion and adoration by whatever names. Yeah. All right. Some warm milk recipes before bed. A poppy sleepy time tea. You can find that on Joyful Belly. Here's the link. I'll just stick it in the chat here. But you can also just search for it on the website. Poppy seeds are soporific in nature. Here's a very nourishing drink for Vata with insomnia. Is milk with boil milk with a clove of crushed garlic and 1 teaspoon of sesame oil for a strengthening, nourishing, soporific bedtime drink. Put a little nutmeg in a glass of milk as well. And here's a formula with 1/8 teaspoon of nutmeg, a 1/4 teaspoon ashwagandha, and a 1/4 teaspoon of dasha mula to encourage sleep. Other Ayurvedic recipes: 5 to 10 drops of bringaraj oil on the top of the head, and also the soles of the feet. Massaging the temples. So right here on the side of our temples is a marma point called Shanka marma, and that is a soporific point. You know, you can just we all know this. I think we kind of anyone who's like been thinking too much can just massage their temple area, and those points that point can aid relaxation and sleep. Now, kapha people, if you have trouble falling asleep, bibitaki is your herb. It is a warm nervine, and it perfect for kapha, for sleep issues in kapha individuals, relaxing herb. And then, of course, we have our essential oils. Lavender, Roman chamomile in particular, bergamot, valerian, sandalwood, clary sage, and ylang ylang are essential oils that you can use for sleeping. All right, great. So we have covered a lot of ground here today in the different types of sleep disorders and different types of remedies, from magnesium supplements to melatonin. Then we have herbs that can help regulate cortisol levels, like licorice root will depress cortisol levels. And also we have herbs that can help balance blood chemistry, reduce toxins, laxatives like triphala. Triphala is a great laxative for kapha and pitta. That'll clean the bowels. But haritaki is your laxative for vata. Harataki is more supportive for Vata than Triphala. Harataki is in Triphala, but the Bibitaki in Triphala aggravates Vata. So I think Harataki as a single herb is a better laxative for Vata. And we talked about some digestives like chamomile. We talked about nourishing adaptogens. Let's see, where is that list of adaptogens? There we go. Ashwagandha, licorice, ginseng, and eleuthero ginseng. All great adaptogens, even rhodiola. We talked for a little bit about kava kava, a strong sedative and muscle relaxant that can help go to sleep. We talked about California poppy, good for children, and how the elderly need to maintain circadian rhythms, improve circulation, and they need the nerve tonics to help with their insomnia. If you have grief or shock, tincture of milky oats is a great herb for grief and shock. If you have jet lag, melatonin is maybe what you need. If you're doing shift work, check out our strategies in the article. We have lots of articles on Joyful Belly for various different kinds of sleep issues like summer insomnia, shift work, routine, etc. So those are all there for you and to help you. Check out the insomnia page on Joyful Belly, which is, you can find most of these tips on the Joyful Belly insomnia page. Of course, it doesn't include all those little anecdotes and information that I shared with you in tonight's talk. We also learned that we have to look at the liver, not just the nervous system when we're dealing with insomnia. We have to look at our choices in regards to lifestyle and how we cope with stress. I read a book called Faith, Hope, Love by Joseph Pieper. Not an easy read, but an amazing book that changed my life. And I realized that I was hopeless about a lot of things and I didn't even know it. And once I learned that about myself by reading that book, I was free, and my skin quality improved. I was less exhausted. My health improved, and my sleep improved. Also, I used to have I didn't know I was allergic to several foods. I was having sleep issues, and I cut out those foods I was allergic to, and I started sleeping well. I've also had spiritual healings. I was praying once when I was overjoyed actually watching I was in the movies watching an episode of The Chosen, and it was a scene where Peter, the apostle, walks out on the water. He steps out of the boat and walks on the water towards Jesus. It's a really powerful scene, and I experienced the spiritual healing. I was having heart palpitations for several years, and all of a sudden, they just went away, and my heart did this crazy flip flop in my chest, and after that, the all of my heart palpitations went away. I can only explain that as a miraculous healing, and I did not have heart palpitations anymore, and I slept better after that. I also I've been through a lot, as you know, because I had very advanced digestive tract issues from traveling overseas and not being cautious, being a sort of young buck, and eating street foods and in many developing countries around the world, and I was just very sick, and so I had difficulty with sleep personally. I had difficult digestive issues, and another sleep healing I had was when I realized I had a parasite. I killed the parasite. I slept better. So all of those things have improved my sleep over the years, from back in the bad old days when I had very poor health due to the digestive issues that I've had. And all those are learning experiences, and all of those where I'm very grateful. And so when we're looking at sleep, we're not just looking at sleep. We're looking at parasites. We're looking at inflammation. We're looking at our spiritual issues of hopelessness, and the kind of struggle that I was having, that I was felt freed by, which I won't go into great details, but I was freed by that scene in the movie. And my heart problems went away after that. So this is what it means to be an Ayurveda practitioner. It means that we look at every possible avenue for health, and we keep on digging, and we get our solutions in many different places, and all of that guided by Ayurveda's. Oh, I tried to copy the name of that book for you, Varsha. If you just look up, and it's in the chat, Faith, Hope, Love by Joseph Pieper. Where all of this searching and seeking, guided by Ayurveda's biocharacteristic theory of medicine, system of medicine that's 2,000 years old, which we teach our students about, and our students experience personal healings in our courses, and they also become great clinicians, ready to heal the world, ready to go out and make the world a better place. Ayurveda is a labor of love. We're motivated by the joy of healing our clients, and being a source of positive change in the world. And that's an exciting opportunity. So hopefully you learned some things in today's talk, right? Even if you walk away with a single spark or two, it's an hour and a half well spent, right? Because one thing can help you greatly. And if you got many things, even better. And I just also want to express my gratitude and thankfulness to you for taking an interest in your health. Health, people say disease is contagious. Health is also contagious. When you invest in health and you discover how to be healthier, that is very inspiring to the people around you. And you can be a source of that inspiration, even just from the things you learned from tonight's talk. So thank you all very much. And with that, I will take some questions. So who has questions? Jamie is saying, blood chemistry issues, how do you diagnose them? Well, in some ways, Jamie, that's like, you could say that's like, in a way, the subject of the whole course, right? Because like, how do we diagnose anything in the body because of its effect on the blood? And then we learn how to diagnose the blood, eye, pulse, skin, tongue, and examining the stool, examining urine, listening to the client's state of being. Like, how is the client expressing themselves? Are they tense? Are they relaxed? What is it? So that's how you figure out your blood chemistry and balance issues in the sort of grand way. If you don't know how to do that, sign up and get a consultation. With Ayurveda, it's 80% education, 20% consultation. You don't try to just figure it out all on your own. There's no one size fits all answer. See a practitioner. I can hook you up with a person at the Joyful Belly Clinic, and we use a treatment team approach in the Joyful Belly Clinic, which means that you will see one of our top graduates for the first 2 appointments, and then in the last appointment, I will meet with you and the graduate, and we will and I will add to what the graduate has already discovered for you. So we do 3 appointment packages. You can sign up for one of that by writing to study@joyfulbelly.com. And Rachel will organize that. But yeah, so blood chemistry issues, you see it in the tongue, you see it in the eyes, you see it in the skin, you see it all in every square inch of the body. Yellow color changes will signify pitta, grayness and lack of luster, vata, thick, congestive type signs, kapha, but that's tip of the iceberg. There's much more to it than that. Oh, CP is asking, how much are these 3 appointment packages? $449. So $449, you get, I mean, each appointment, the practitioner, this is the difference between going to a Western doctor and a practitioner, is when you sign up to an Ayurveda practitioner, one, they're spending an hour reviewing your case before they even talk to you. And then they're talking to you on the phone, and then they're spending time after the call researching. And it's just, you're just getting a lot more. You're getting a lot more and attention. And so yeah, so $449 gets you 3 appointments. I think that's a really great deal, and a great way to get healthier. So yeah, I'm curious about the relationship of ama to insomnia, says Carol. Would it be prudent to take detox herbs for the liver, lymph, colon first? Okay, so Carol, we also need to assess where the toxins are coming from. Is this toxins from the colon? Is it toxins from the lymphatic system? If the toxins are not from the lymphatic system, we may not need a detoxicant. We may just need a laxative. Vata people generally detox well. They just need to avoid retox, right? We need to make sure that they're not producing toxins in the colon. It's a cinch for Vata to detox, but Kapha has trouble detoxing. So we need to thin their lymphatic system. So it really depends on the individual and the kind of toxins. If it's liver weakness, we're going to do liver tonics. If it's liver congestion, we're going to do liver cleansing. So so that's, all nuances as well. Simmerjeet is saying our doctor said that she has potentially fatty liver issues, which can be hereditary. But she's not a huge drinker or anything like that. Yeah, so it could be the result of your pitta nature. It could be some other disturbance. It could be just, you could have hereditary pitta ama that causes fatty liver, or kapha issues that cause fatty liver. In other words, it doesn't have to be a genetic predisposition for fatty liver. It can be a genetic predisposition that makes you predisposed to fatty liver, or a condition, some other kind of condition that predisposes you to fatty liver. So there are tons of herbs that are hepatoprotective. I don't know your constitution, from licorice root to milk thistle to Brahmi gotukola. You can go on and on and on. Yarrow. So that's where we need to find the herb that is appropriate for you. And that's what students learn in the herb course, right? That herb course is just insanely awesome. It is, it's the Western, you get the Ayurvedic perspectives on the Western apothecary as well as the Ayurveda apothecary. We cover Ayurveda herbal treatment strategies and traditional Chinese medicine treatment strategies. It's really a one-of-a-kind course exploring the biocharacteristic medical traditions applied to herbalism, Ayurveda, Chinese medicine, even Greek medicine. And those are the 3 great biocharacteristic medicine traditions. Greek medicine is practiced under the name Unani Tib, and that course covers herbal strategies. In all those cases, it's great course. And that's where you'll learn, Simmerjeet, the specific herbs. Or you can schedule an appointment with one of our practitioners that has that knowledge. What would I recommend first, the MID or the herb course? Well, Simmerjeet, I would recommend the 2-year health counselor course first. Jumping into the digestive course, you can do it. If you are willing to, just know that you're not going to know all the Ayurveda day one. Now, we have medical doctors, nurses, other folks that jump into the digestive course. They have some experience with anatomy and physiology, so they are just trying to learn the Ayurveda and then put it together. That's doable too. You also, Simmerjeet, have 4 months of advanced notice that you can read an Ayurveda textbook and get some of the basics down, and then the course will be very accessible to you in that time. So you still have time for that. The one I'd recommend first is the 2-year health counselor course. If the herb course is more advanced, I would say a little bit more intense. So if you have prior training as an herbalist, if you have prior training as in Ayurveda, then the herb course is accessible to you. Otherwise, again, we don't stand in the way of greatness. We'll let you in the course if you are up for it. And I'm just going to say that I'm going to say what my Harvard advisor told me. When I was a student in the Harvard Computer Science and Math department, my advisor said, don't take that course. And I said, well, I'm going to take it anyway because I wanted. It was a little bit ahead of me, and I wanted. I knew I could do it. I wanted to roll up my sleeves and jump in and learn it, and I was willing to do the work. So if you don't have experience and you're jumping into the herb course, it's going to be a little bit like that. The MID course is accessible, and the Ayurveda Health Counselor course is the natural place to begin. Yes. Great. Sherry, you have a great night's sleep also. Yes, I wish all of you a great night's sleep. How to cleanse the lymphatic system, says Dara. Well, some herbs cleanse the lymphatic system by thinning the blood. Others, you can use diuretics, and sometimes both. Cleavers, chickweed are examples of some herbs that are considered to be lymphatic detoxicants. But there are many. Chickweed, what was the one that said? Cleavers. You can even look at things like Mangista, even Harataki. I can just go on and on and on about great herbs that are lymphatic decongestants. Even turmeric is a lymphatic decongestant. But the main thing is you have to also deal with diet. If you're a kapha person, those are the folks that need to clean the lymphatic system. And generally, you want to reduce viscosity of the blood by avoiding heavy carbs and fats and protein-rich meals. And instead, eat bitters for a few days. Eat beans, greens and beans. Greens, beans, and maybe protein. You just avoid the heavy carbs for a few days, and your system should flush itself out. Put some turmeric with your greens, beans, and protein. A little chicken, little beans, or fish. Fish, greens, and some beans with some turmeric, black pepper. You could take cumin, coriander, fennel tea called CCFT. That may help with a lymphatic cleanse. Oh, Ed's asking, how can we find Joyful Belly graduates in the U.S. and your U.S. individual states? Just contact us, email study@joyfulbelly.com. If we have someone in that state, I think we should have people in most states of the country. So yeah, contact us then. Did I miss any questions so far? Oh, Judine said I drank blueberry tea several nights and had a very restful sleep. Yeah, blueberries high in those antioxidants, which soothes the liver. Beta carotene soothes the liver, reduces inflammation in the body. Cooling, very important for this time of year in the summer, is your bright colored berries. Blueberry, raspberry, cherries can all help. All right, you guys are an awesome group. Thanks for all your questions. I love it. I love the opportunity to share this with you, and I hope we get to see each other again soon. Stay tuned for our summer program. We have exciting lecture series that we've set up for the summer. Now that classes are almost out, this is the first one. We'll be offering some others, so stay tuned to the newsletter, and I'll be seeing you again soon. Come study with us. If you have a dream of becoming a practitioner, I think that you make the leap to start your path. It's always difficult to make a big change in your life, and it's going to be just as hard. It's hard every year. It's hard and so if this is what you want, if it's your dream, we can talk about how to make that a reality for you. You can text me at my cell phone, which is 828-785-8213. If you have questions about the course, I'm happy to answer them for you. And I look forward to our next chance to be together. Have a wonderful evening, everybody. Take care.